You are welcome again to another episode of HN What's Your Say? The #1 listening show where we discuss real issues with real people like you. We are still featuring R. Kelly. Real name Robert Sylvester Kelly. Also known as the R&B King. R. Kelly's New York appeal process was to commence on the 8th of March when it was suddenly postponed to the next month for no clear reason, and is expected to start in less than 12 days' time from now with opening briefs. Whether the New York verdict will be overturned largely depends on how R. Kelly's defense team argues out its concerns regarding the illegalities that occurred during the trial process. But even as we await the opportunity to report to you the proceedings of the appeal court as they unfold, one thing remains of great concern, and that is whether the New York trial we are appealing was legitimate in the first place. While it was completely uncalled for that matters of the 2008 case be introduced into the recent trial process, the government operating with impunity as always did this, and the details surrounding the already closed case were predominant during the Chicago trial. The government principal witness in Chicago, who goes by the name Reshonda Landfair, had also stated under oath in 2008 that she wasn't the girl on the tape, and the trial was closed off with an acquittal in favor of the R&B King. This case was therefore closed, but nevertheless the government still felt the need to try R. Kelly on these same charges. Indeed, elements in both the New York and Chicago trials tackled the very same charges R. Kelly was duly acquitted for back in 2008, and the same witness Reshonda Landfair took the stand again with the claim that R. Kelly had been involved in actions that amounted to obstruction of justice, which was one of the charges he was indicted for in Chicago. Because the government prosecutors knew that their claims of obstruction were not premised on any tangible evidence, they made sure to split the cases into two. One in New York and the other in Chicago. They also ensured the New York trial comes first because they knew well had they started by losing the obstruction charges to R. Kelly, the New York indictment, which also involved charges he had already beaten in 2008, would be automatically nullified. What exactly are we talking about? Having lost to R. Kelly on the obstruction of justice charges in Chicago, it means that the 2008 judgment remains final and cannot be contested, making Reshonda's return to the stand and her entire testimony not only invalid but also illegal. If the government had wanted to bring back all those old and already beaten charges, first they needed to prove that there was indeed something wrong with the 2008 trial and render the judgment then invalid before they returned with a fresh trial on the same. Returning these same charges in the recent indictment was therefore an act of double jeopardy, something the whole world can see. And for this reason, the recent trials are not only questionable, but also an illegal process that was initiated by the government and entertained by the Department of Justice. Such an illegal process certainly shouldn't be a reason to hold R. Kelly and keep him locked up behind closed doors for the rest of his life. How did he even get 30 years from such a fraudulent double trial? The question that remains unanswered is, when exactly does a judgment become final? If R. Kelly was given due process back in 2008 and he's surmounted with an acquittal, why would this same issue be brought back for him to beat again for the second time? What was wrong with the 2008 trial? Have the judges then and attorneys been brought to book for any sort of corruption or anything of the sort? I am imagining even after this double trial in what appeared to be a kangaroo court is over, it will still be allowed that someone contests the decisions of the court 10 years down the road. Very laughable. It's indeed laughable to see that a case that was closed in 2008 can be reopened decades later, purposely to lock up an individual already tried by the very same system and found not guilty. This is why we had so much drama in court, with requests coming in and orders from the judge suggesting some old matters such as those concerning Aaliyah be left out. It was total confusion in court as opposed to organized trials one would have expected from today's Department of Justice. If by trial time the parties are still unsure what to talk about and what to leave out, then there is indeed a serious problem. According to Lisa McRae, the injustice is real. See what these people have done to R. Kelly to a point that he can't even walk normally. He was fine until they came along. He took such good care of their daughters, these parents, but the courts offered more money in restitutions. Surprisingly, no one wants to be the first to admit that they were persuaded by the money and the immunity from indictment. This situation is about 30 pieces of silver. This is greed gone wild, and to the point of his health deteriorating rapidly, It's too much. Sony, Gail King, Dream Hampton, Azriel Clary, Judge Ann Donnelly, Judge Lynan Weber, BOP officers and everyone else involved in this scheme. Does any one of you have a conscience? It's time to fix this before it's too late. Even without health problems, he has suffered enough to pay whatever debt you feel he owes you. You've been paid in full, just stop surviving off of R. Kelly and leave him alone. We are concerned about his health. We are concerned about his children. We are also concerned about this man as a successful black artist, as an American citizen and as a regular everyday human being. So we continue to pray and believe in the Lord for the healing of his body. Lord, be with him. Lord, hear our prayers. According to Audra, I blame it all on the surviving R. Kelly mockumentary, which made everyone think R. Kelly was guilty even before trial and corrupted everyone's mind. It was as a result of this series that everyone who made mistakes abandoned the law and did their own things, and in the process, his Fifth and Sixth Amendment rights were completely violated. His right to due process, his right to a fair and speedy trial, and his right to an impartial, well-selected jury were all violated. Indeed, this documentary made it impossible for R. Kelly to get a fair trial. Here are examples of how it affected the entire case. It was because of the documentary that Spotify dropped R. Kelly's music. Kim Fox herself admitted it was because of this documentary that she went on her usual witch hunt to bring false charges on R. Kelly, and even opened a hotline for anyone who had a story to tell. Meaning no one had even approached the authorities to file a statement. This same documentary is the only reason the court now feels the 2008 trial was not enough, and is the sole reason for this double jeopardy where the government unconstitutionally retried him for the same charges. The documentary is again the only reason the court allowed a doctored VCR tape whose source and chain of custody is still unknown, to be used as the only tangible evidence in the recent trial, even though this tape is said to be from as far back as 1998. The documentary is again the only reason no one fact-checked Lisa Van Allen, Reshonda Landfair, and Valerie Landfair's statements about R. Kelly and the infamous tape. The documentary was purposed to make R. Kelly look guilty, and because of it, he was clearly prejudiced. If you wish to take part in a live interview on this channel discussing any of these topics, let us know by emailing us on sashahnnewsroom@gmail.com for scheduling. That is all we had for you today on HN What's Your Say. To keep updated whenever we post a new video, subscribe to this channel now. Also remember to hit the bell icon and enable notifications. And feel free to share your opinions with us in the comment section below, and let us know if you would like us to publish your views in our next release. We value all our subscribers' opinions.